Well, we're talking about patterns, so I'm wearing my very patterned robe that I just recently bought uh, on a wild shopping spree. Why am I talking about shifting your patterns today? As a wellness practitioner, consultant, and wellness educator, there is no person that has ever come to see me that doesn't have an issue in their heart and some difficulty in their mind. The manifestation of symptoms comes from how we think in our heart and what we believe is true about ourselves and the world around us, including other people. So we get into patterns, and oftentimes people get stuck in patterns. And I have all kinds of stories I can tell you about that. But I spend an enormous amount of time when I'm working with somebody paying attention to what they say, and I begin to notice patterns about things that they say. And there's that adage, you are what you think, you are what you say. Well, that is very, very true. Your body will respond to what you say because whatever you say, it believes it's the truth. And every word that you speak is powerful. It is resonant, powerful energy. You can either use your tongue to speak words of life to yourself or others, or you can cut through and bring somebody down, including yourself, by speaking words of negativity, doubt, fear, anxiety, whatever. So we're discussing patterns. It's human nature to develop patterns of behavior. That's really good for us because it keeps us having a consistent lifestyle. We get up every day, we have our hot tea, we do our whatever we do, our meditation, our exercise, we work in the garden, we go to work, we come. That's all really good for us. But human beings are somewhat addictive by nature. That's what keeps us following healthy patterns and hopefully staying within our instinct, but that can work against us. So when we get stuck in patterns that are less productive and even damaging ones, such as addiction and OCD behaviors, or just plain in, being stuck in a rut, in the AA program, they call it stuck in stinking thinking. And that will begin to affect not only your mind, but also your body. So when your body becomes affected by this level of negativity, and some people grow up in negative families, so they've been surrounded by it their whole life, the end result of it is it's disheartening. So to be disheartened means to be cast down. When we are cast down, our endocrine system, that is all of your endocrine glands, your thymus, your thyroid, your pineal gland, your pituitary, your adrenals, your sex glands, all of that, your pancreas, all of that becomes depressed or suppressed. And then we have what we call low endocrine fire. We just don't really feel that great. I have a blog on my website called Why Can't I Just Feel Better? And that explains that process of having low endocrine fire and what you can do. So I'm teaching you today about a simple practice of observing your patterns. I talk to so many people who say, I just can't seem to stop doing this thing. Yes, that's the way patterns and habits are like that. They are very stuck. And the only way to really release yourself from those patterns is simply to begin to non-judgmentally observe, this is what I'm doing, and be very open about it. Explore it. See if you can find the edge of it. I have a wonderful video on my YouTube channel about finding the edge of what you feel. You find the edge of it, you observe it, you pay attention. And you just keep doing that. Gradually over time, you're going to begin to realize, well, okay, I have a tendency to go for things that are sweet every day at about the same time, usually around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's low endocrine fire time of day. You may practice one day simply just taking a nap, putting your feet up for that time of day, and see if you can go without having sweet. And then you notice how you feel. And if you feel better, then the feeling better is what leads to wanting to shift that pattern. So you literally open yourself up to new information when you begin to shift your pattern, because all of a sudden you go, wow, I didn't realize putting my feet up for 15 minutes could make me feel so much better. So you have a new visceral feeling that's going to propel you, because human beings really only like to do things that make them feel better. That's why, kids do crazy things like hang upside down on the monkey bars, or, get inside of a box and roam around inside of it. They love to stay up till midnight, and they just want to do something different. They just want to see what the world looks like from a different perspective. And so I encourage you, in shifting your patterns to be more childlike. You can tap into simply becoming more aware, then you'll have the courage to try something new, and in a matter of time, you're going to start to just simply feel better. It seems silly and insignificant, but it's very powerful. I want you to understand that your habits, the patterns that you get stuck in, are very much like they're ruled by the element of water. And so I want you to think of your habits as like a tsunami wave. No one ever successfully stood against a tsunami wave. And after it was over, they're still standing there. And people are like, oh my God, it's a miracle. That's never happened because water is a very powerful force. Your habits are ruled by water. So instead of trying to stand against your habits and I'm going to change, what I want you to do is just become aware, notice, and gradually start to shift by adopting little things that might make a difference. This is learning to be like a surfer or a dolphin, diving through the wave instead of standing against it. When you get there, it's like getting the pot of gold. I can't even describe to you the joy that you'll experience when all of a sudden you look back and you realize, wow, I really changed that habit that I had, that pattern that I was stuck in. I remember many years ago, a woman that I went to high school with came to visit me on the Central Coast in California. And she had not seen me for maybe 20 years. And she stood in my kitchen and she said, oh, you're just so perfect. You do, your Qigong and you eat really well and you do all these things and you're creative. And, like she just was observing all these things about my life. Like somehow I was special or different from her. And I said, I developed these patterns and these habits over many years. I started when I was just out of high school. I shifted my eating patterns as a result of having colonics and discovering how really toxic my body was. And I did a lot of fasting and detoxification, and that changed my perspective. I broke my pattern. I stopped eating standard American food, and all of a sudden I just felt so much better. It wasn't hard. I didn't have to force myself to do something because I was doing it. It felt better to me. And that goes along with my practice of Qigong, which I was introduced to. I didn't arrive perfectly out of the womb doing these things. I was exposed to them. I tried them. Maybe I moved away for a while from it. Then I came back to it. It's all a process of just being conscious and aware. What is my pattern? I've recently gone through a really extremely difficult health challenge. And for 4 months, I just hunkered down on my couch and watched television. I had to take pain medication. I just went down into a rut. I had to do that. I had to break my pattern. I couldn't keep up with my regular activities and be in the extreme pain and discomfort and emotional angst. It was very traumatic. It was reviving some old traumas that have to do with another dentist. I literally just needed to go down into my cocoon of self. And as soon as that began to pass, I started to feel better. I got liberated from the pain. And now, I'm coming back into my patterns and shifting, and I'm exercising more, and I'm feeling much better because I'm sleeping now. I wasn't sleeping for months, actually several years. So shifting your patterns, it's not as hard as it seems, but the reward is huge. You'll just feel so much better about your life, about yourself. And when you do, that lifts your spirits and you just have more energy and feel better. All right. Love you all. That's why I do this. Thank you so much. Vanessa Goldine, Bridge to Health Wellness. I work with clients both remote and locally. I have online courses for healing wellness support, as well as teaching classes at the Awaken and Evolve Learning Center. And I have online video courses and remote video courses that we'll be adding in this next year, and coming out with 2 books, hopefully in 2025, Breathing, Sleeping, Laughing, and Pooping, Common Sense Guide to Getting Healthy and Staying Healthy. Yeah, I think the title alone is going to do good. And then the other one is What to Eat. And if you go on to my link in bio, I have 2 links in bio, and there's one that has a freebie for the What to Eat guide. I strongly recommend you get it and read the story about what happened in my treatment room with the client who was eating a fad diet. All right, this is an act of love. Thank you for tuning in.